Welcome. We're here to celebrate. 20 years of celebration because we've helped Lake Tahoe. 2 decades ago, we came together to present the beauty of this breathtaking place. And for 20 years, we've worked just to do that. We wanted to make it better, and we've done that. One need only gaze at these emerald blue waters to see the progress we've made in keeping Tahoe blue. We envisioned 20 years ago what we wanted to accomplish, and we've done that and maybe a little more. Lake Tahoe is now more pristine than it has been in decades because of the work of a lot of people, including these wonderful people that are on the stage with me. But you know, like a baseball team that wins a World Series, they can't rest on their laurels. Finish the series, and what do? They figure out what they did well and try to improve on that. So that's what today's celebration is all about. We've reached a goal, and now we have to build on our progress. Look at today's all-star lineup. Look at it. First of all, Nevada's own internationally renowned band, The Killers. They're not going to be a no-show. I just met with them a few minutes ago. It's our privilege to hear in just a few minutes from Nevada's friend and my friend, California's Governor Jerry Brown. This good man has spent his entire life leading California and our nation in improving our environment, among other things. Governor Brian Sandoval can't be here today. We had to change the schedule around. He had a long-standing commitment on an opioid conference in Las Vegas. But Brian's been good on Lake Tahoe, and I appreciate it very much. In fact, Governor Brown and Sandoval have worked together to strengthen the Lake Tahoe Regional Compact, which has caused bi-state collaboration, and it's, quite frankly, forced it in many instances. And what does it do? It protects the lake. Part of the all-star lineup is California Senator Barbara Boxer. Barbara Boxer and I came to Congress together 34 years ago. We've been together 34 years. And I have 4 brothers. I have 3 brothers, I'm sorry. I never had a sister, so she's a sister I never had. Our MC today is going to be the most dignified member of the United States Senate, Dianne Feinstein. Dianne Feinstein has had a love affair with this beautiful lake for a long, long time when she was a little girl. She and her good husband, Dick, have been generous in their support of the lake. They both love Lake Tahoe, and they have a home here to prove it. We'll have a special presentation today by Janice Schneider, Assistant Secretary of Interior. But with every lineup, every all-star lineup, you need a most valuable player. You need somebody that's going to bat cleanup. And today, that cleanup is not Bryce Harper. It's Barack Obama, President of the United States. I'm happy to recognize head of the BLM, Neil Cornsey. He protects every day 250 million acres of federal land. One of my favorite congressmen, John Garamendi of California. Marcia McNutt, President of the National Academy of Sciences. And the chairman, council members, and elders from the Washoe tribe. And special guests of mine today is math instructor Patrick Fleming and 50 of his students from the Lake Tahoe School. I look forward to the presentation today. I look forward to the concert. I'll be back in a little bit to say a little bit more, but I want to turn the program over now to today's Master Ceremonies, Senator Dianne Feinstein.
Thank you, Harry. Well done. Ooh, yes, thank you. Are we here to save Lake Tahoe? All right. We want to give you an opportunity to participate in doing just that. It was about 20 years ago when Harry Reid brought Bill Clinton as president to the first summit, which was at Tahoe Commons Beach. Oh, I would say maybe 600-700 people turned up. Much excitement. The President of the United States was there. But what it began was a federal state, and the states are by Nevada and California, and a private sector partnership to begin to rehab and prevent this lake from going the way many lakes go. I'm proud to say that $1.9 billion has been spent on the renewal of this lake so far. $500 projects have been completed, and some 20 more are in the works. But here's what's amazing. It's the people that have helped. And let me just give you these numbers. The federal government has put in $635.4 million. The state of California, with the help of our governors, including this great governor, Jerry Brown, $758.6 million. Nevada, because both Harry Reid and Governor Sandoval insisted on Nevada's participation, some $123.7 million. 98 million by locals. And here's the most impressive part, the private sector. $338 million has been provided by the private sector for the rehabilitation of this lake. So we think this indeed is very, very special. When you walk down a new trail, that's a product of these dollars. When you see the road work going on to keep the particulate material from going into the lake, that's a product of these dollars. The hazardous fuels treatment that you see going on, that's a product of these dollars. More than 16,000 acres of wildlife habitat have been restored, 1,500 stream environment zones restored, and 2,700 linear feet of shoreline has been added for public benefit. So I am so proud of that. Our first speaker is a key member of our Team Tahoe. In fact, Governor Jerry Brown has attended every summit since he took office. Governor Brown, along with Governor Sandoval, has done everything possible to support the lake's restoration. When the two governors took office in 2010, they recommitted both states to the bi-state compact. Under their leadership, we negotiated the entrenched issues holding up the regional plan update. That effort ultimately saved the compact between the two states. Governor Brown has been a leader on environmental issues throughout his career, and no governor has done more to combat climate change than Jerry Brown. I asked him last night, what do you think is your best achievement in the climate area? And here's what he said. Electricity is 25% of California's power today. It will double to 50% by 2050. That is unique, and it's really quite special and wonderful. Without further ado, would you warmly welcome the governor of the great state of California, Jerry Brown.
Thank you. Thank you, Diane, and thank all of you for being here to help us save Lake Tahoe. There's a lot to save. And let me just amend your remark there. It's 25% electricity from the sun, the wind, geothermal, and other renewable sources today. It'll be 50% by 2030, so we're on our way. Look, as we stand here just next to the most beautiful lake in the world, we're here because, in part because of that beauty. And that beauty, unlike other lakes in the world that have become nothing but dumps and dead zones, this is still a pristine wonder. And the human imagination is so encouraged and nourished by it that Republicans and Democrats actually work together to do good for Tahoe. Thank you, Lake Tahoe. Beauty transcends politics, and the beauty of Lake Tahoe enabled our Republican Governor Ronald Reagan and Governor Laxalt in Nevada, and today myself, a Democrat, Governor Sandoval, a Republican. We work very closely because we have a higher cause, and a cause that transcends the petty issues that often divide our political parties. So that's something to celebrate, and that's exactly what we're doing today. And by the way, the cooperation continues. Nevada is going to build a $1 billion electric battery plant, and California is building the cars that are going to use the batteries. So together, Nevada and California are going to electrify and renew the world right from here. We have over 250,000 electric cars in California. Our goal is 1.5 million in the next 5 years, and we're going to have millions in the lifetime of the people here, at least most of you, not all of you. But anyway, the beauty of electric cars driving around the lake, they don't emit nitrates. One of the contributing causes to the murky quality of the lake at a certain level are the nitrates coming out of the combustion automobile. Someday, the sun and the electric battery made in Nevada will be preserving Lake Tahoe for generations to come. So, the paradox of power, the power of oil and the power of coal to light up our houses and to run our factories, then becomes the dark shadow of climate change and global warming and radical disruption of our climate system. That is the dilemma, that our power often outruns our clarity and our wisdom to do anything about it. That's why I say our power curve, whether it's the technologies that are disrupting our climate, whether it's the thousands of nuclear weapons that threaten the survival of civilization, all of that is power, and that curve is going up. The curve of wisdom is very flat. The challenge is not falling in the gap and increasing the wisdom along with our power. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Governor Brown. Our next speaker and I have served together as California senators for the past 24 years. From the Marin County Board of Supervisors to the House of Representatives to the United States Senate. Senator Boxer has been a powerful voice on environmental issues. She was the co-sponsor of the original Lake Tahoe Restoration Act in 2000, along with myself, Senator Reid, and then Nevada Senator Richard Ryan. As chairman of the Environment and Public Works Committee of the United States Senate, she was able to push that bill that brings $300 million of federal funds to the lake. And she is an original co-sponsor of our new bipartisan Lake Tahoe Restoration Bill, which is now winding its way through the United States Senate and the House of Representatives. It reauthorizes vital restoration projects, and it adds $415 million in federal funding. I have great respect for Senator Boxer's passion, dedication, and enthusiasm for protecting our environment. No one does it better. Ladies and gentlemen, Senator Barbara Boxer.
I'm standing on my box so I can see you. Otherwise, it would be like, remember when the Queen of England came and you only saw her hair? It'd be like that. Well, I am so honored to be part of this Tahoe team. I am so proud to see so many of you here. I don't know how many of you are here for the Killers. But there's also a lot of you are here for the Killers and to save Lake Tahoe. And isn't it great to be here with one of the greatest environmental presidents of all times, Barack Obama. As Senator Feinstein said, in '97 we were here, and we shared the stage at the first Tahoe Summit with another great environmental president, William Jefferson Clinton. And my brother Harry Reid was there. And I have to say, even though he's not on the stage right now, I have to thank you for sending him to the Senate so many times. He has been such a great advocate for Nevada, for Lake Tahoe. He has stood up against the polluters and the climate change deniers. And Harry, wherever you are, we love you. And to be here with that fantastic governor, who's now serving his 4th term. Is that right, Jerry? Yeah, 4th time. As a younger guy and as a mature guy. Jerry Brown and I go back to the 70s when he had the vision at that time to bring solar energy forward. And now here today, recommitting to saving Lake Tahoe, and also, some of you will learn later, his administration just signed a memorandum of understanding to save the Salton Sea, another wonder of nature in California. And Senator Feinstein, my friend Dianne, our work together to save our coast, to save our deserts, to save our bays, and to save Lake Tahoe, those are incredible accomplishments I will always treasure. Thank you, Dianne. Lake Tahoe, it's the jewel of the Sierra, which Mark Twain called the fairest picture the whole earth affords. It is home to 290 species of wildlife, and don't forget, the beauty lures so many millions of visitors every year to keep our economy strong. It is known around the world for its breathtaking vistas and pristine water clarity, But we know we've had problems. I won't reiterate them, they've been stated. And that is why we brought President Clinton here in '97. And we, yes, are here to celebrate the progress, but also note that we have more work to do. And Senator Feinstein mentioned this, I'll mention it again. This past January, the Lake Tahoe Restoration Act of 2015, which would provide $415 million over the next 10 years to the lake, was approved unanimously by the Environment and Public Works Committee. Unanimously. You don't get that vote when you pass a resolution on Mother's Day. This was a fabulous accomplishment. And it is working our way to the Senate floor. And I hope you'll all keep the pressure on, because the Lake Tahoe bill is now part of a larger bill called the Water Resources Development Act that has a lot of important provisions in it. But if we get that done, we're on our way. Look, we know climate change is getting worse. It poses a continuing threat to the lake. It makes the lake more hospitable to invasive species. More fires are a danger. So in closing, I want to thank you again. I want to thank our president again, because he has taken courageous administrative action to reduce carbon pollution, making the United States a leader on clean energy, building on what Governor Brown is doing in California. These are two great leaders. And I would say this president, among the greatest odds, was able to lead an international coalition to fight climate change. And if we're successful, we will save this incredible Lake Tahoe. So thank you for caring. Thank you for coming out here today. And even though I'm winding down my career, I will work to save Lake Tahoe. Thank you so much.
I always say, Barbara and I are the long and the short of it. So, in 1997, the lake stood at a critical junction. And it was then that we put together our private-public partnership. And it was then that we to form the teams. And every year, we'd get together. We had what we called a stakeholders meeting and a summit. And our police and fire chiefs have played a vital role. I see some of them here today, and I'd like to ask that they stand and that you give them a big, warm round of applause. And I think for many of us in this generation who love this lake, it really took the Angora fire to see how our fire departments work and how critical it is that we remove dead trees from our forest and be able to protect against forest fire. Yesterday, we had a stakeholders lunch, and I'd say there were about 50 people there. And they were all kind of the movers and shakers around the lake, the elected supervisors, the scientists, the professors from both the University of California and the University of Nevada, fire chiefs, et cetera. And we heard from the director of the Tahoe Research Center, Dr. Jeff Shaldow. And you know what he said to us? He said, Lake Tahoe is getting warmer faster than any large lake in the world. The ambient air temperature is up. The lake has warmed dramatically. And so it is really our job, as you listen to this wonderful music today, to figure out how you can help us to save this lake. We are determined to do so. There are major challenges ahead. We've got to redouble our efforts. We've got to pass this new bill. This will help. We've got to have a Team Tahoe that's in the thousands. So if you're interested in helping us, please do so. Just let us know and we'll put it together. Now, here to discuss one of the new investments in the lake is the Assistant Secretary of Land and Minerals Management at the Department of Interior, Janice Schneider. I've had a chance to talk with her, and I think she knows her stuff. She was confirmed to her current position by the Senate in 2014, appointed by President Obama. She has more than 30 years of environmental and natural resources experience in both the public and private sectors. As the Assistant Secretary, she oversees 4 Interior Department agencies: the Bureau of Land Management, the Ocean Energy Management Bureau, the Bureau of Safety and Environmental Enforcement, and the Office of Surface Mining, Reclamation, and Enforcement. She is committed to managing, protecting, and improving the public lands and waters, places like our own Tahoe Basin. Thank you for joining us today, Secretary Schneider. You don't need a box.
No box. No box for me. Thank you. It's great to be here today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I'm going to talk a little bit more about fire. I know that Senator Reid will be back in a moment, but I want to acknowledge his vision back in 1998 because he was instrumental in passing a statute called the Southern Nevada Public Lands Management Act, in which many, many partners have come together to work on a host of related issues. I want to acknowledge my colleague, the Director of the Bureau of Land Management, Neil Cornsey, who's sitting right here. I could not have a better partner in the work that we're doing. I also want to acknowledge, I don't see his cowboy hat in the audience here, but John Roos, who is the Nevada State Director, who is also here. And I also want to acknowledge the 21,000 volunteers who have worked to make SNPLM projects, which is an acronym I did not come up with, for over close to 20 years and really making them a reality. Now, SNPLM is based on a very simple idea. Funds are generated from the sale of designated lands near Las Vegas and then put to use, improving the quality of our life and the environment. And so today, it's my great pleasure to announce that earlier in the day, we approved 8 important projects funded by SNPLM that will receive close to $30 million. And what's really great is that $25 million of that amount is going to the Lake Tahoe Basin and the surrounding area. These funds will support restoration and conservation, hazardous fuels reduction, and wildfire prevention on more than 20,000 acres of public and private land here in both Nevada and California, in and around the Lake Tahoe area. And the good news is this is just what they call round 16A. We're going to be announcing more project awards later this year. I want to share with you just how important SNPLM is. Since its enactment in 1998, it has raised over $3.5 billion, and that's billion with a B, dollars to benefit public places throughout Nevada and here in Lake Tahoe in California as well. It's funded more than 1,200 projects, for which more than 180,000 acres of wildlife habitat has been restored, 72,000 acres of environmentally sensitive land acquired, and more than 500 miles of trails or roads being built or improved. Now, there are many different buckets that the money from SNPLM can be used for, and the projects that we're announcing today are in the fire category. These projects that we're funding will help protect homes and residents, as well as forests and important wildlife habitat from wildfire. We all know that wildfires are becoming more frequent and severe due to climate change and other factors, threatening the well-being of our communities and the resources on which they depend. Over the last 10 years, on average, more than 5 million acres burn annually across this nation, and just last year alone, we had over 10 million acres burned, a record year. If you take a hike in and around the Tahoe area, you'll see evidence of some of this fire, and other activity. So here, in the wildland-urban interface, we need to take smart actions now to help protect our communities and our environments. So I want to share with you some of the details and some of our partners, because partners are really what makes this project work. With these funds, the North Lake Tahoe Fire Protection District will reduce hazardous fuels in Incline Village. The Forest Service will reduce hazardous fuels and improve forest health on national forest lands throughout the basin. The Tahoe Resource Conservation District will deliver a coordinated fire-adapted communities program, including extensive community outreach and assistance for wildfire preparedness to help private property owners improve fire defensible space around their homes. And the California Tahoe Conservancy will facilitate hazardous fuel reduction treatments on private property on the California side of the basin. SNPLMA and the projects it fosters represents a major savings to the American taxpayer. These projects benefit local residents in California and Nevada and visitors to the Lake Tahoe area by making places safer, as well as assisting our brave men and women on the fire line when we have those challenges to face. The Department of the Interior is proud to partner with the many people and organizations who protect this beautiful area and make SNPLMA such a success. Thanks again for having me, and thank you, Senator Reid, for having the vision that we're celebrating today.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. We'll put that money to good use, right? Right. As you can see, Lake Tahoe has many, to use a boxing term, many supporters in its corner, including the host of this year's summit, who just happens to be a former boxer himself. I want to take a moment and ask that you join with me in acknowledging the fact that this is Senator Harry Reid's last summit in office. Come on. As the Democratic leader in the Senate, he has been really a forceful leader for the lake, both here in Nevada and in Washington. And it was his leadership that made the first summit possible, and as I said, brought President Clinton to really dramatize it. Without his support, we could not have passed the original Lake Tahoe Restoration Act in 2000. And we wouldn't be as close to passing its reauthorization as we are now. Over the past 2 decades, his efforts to help restore this lake have been admirable. As a Californian, I'd like to thank the Democratic leader from Nevada for his dedication, for his passion in caring for our shared lake. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Senator Harry Reid.
More than a century ago, Mark Twain described Lake Tahoe as the beautiful relic of fairyland forgotten, left asleep in the snowy Sierras, and also as the fairest picture the whole earth affords. That's a quote from Mark Twain, and he was right. Today we're witnesses to the wonder of which Mark Twain spoke and wrote those many, many years ago. Look at this lake today, and we've all looked today. Its clarity is unique and it's historic, and we need to keep it that way. But 21 years ago, it was a different story. Emerald waters were becoming murky. Invasive species, more than a century of logging, apartment complexes, motels, hotels, unfettered growth were wreaking havoc to this beautiful basin. Over the decades, the world discovered the beauty of Lake Tahoe. It wasn't just Mark Twain. The world discovered the beauty of Lake Tahoe. And it was being loved to death. Out of desperation, something different was needed, I believed. Something different was a presidential summit dealing only with Lake Tahoe. On Monday in the morning, I reached out to Al Gore. I reminded him that my first call for help 21 years ago was to him, the Vice President. He, of course, talked to the President, President Clinton, and the rest is history. My invitation was accepted. The Tahoe Summit was born. Because of that first summit, Nevada became focused on Lake Tahoe. California became focused on Lake Tahoe. The nation became focused on Lake Tahoe. And because they were here for 2 days, we had international press and international attention on Lake Tahoe. So today, 4 United States senators are here, minus one. I'm sorry about that, made a mistake. So preparing for the first summit, we had 4 United States senators, 6 cabinet secretaries, governors, congressmen, administration officials, and of course, the Vice President and President were here. They were here in attendance at the first summit. It was a wonderful occasion. Al Gore knew Lake Tahoe. This is where he and Tipper honeymooned. The first gathering was 5 months in preparation. There were field hearings, meetings by members of the President's cabinet and other administration officials. They met with city officials, county officials, state officials, environmentalists, business developers, Native American community, landowners in the Lake Tahoe Basin. They met with virtually everyone. A partnership was developed because everyone wanted to help. That's why the first summit was a success. And during that first summit, President Clinton really summed it up properly when he said, and I quote, "We have an awful lot of work to do." He was sure right. Some said government intervention would worsen the health of the lake. Some said government intervention would damage the lake. To those critics, Lake Tahoe is better today than it was when we started 2 decades ago. Time and resources have been dedicated to water clarity, removal of these logging roads that were so polluting. Transportation upgrades we've made significantly. We've developed meadows for water runoff. We've reduced fire hazards by fire reduction and other techniques. And we've had the best scientific research in the world. That's why the head of the National Science Foundation is here today. That's why some of the best scholars out of California and Nevada work on this 12 months a year. Significant money has been invested in this wondrous lake by the states of Nevada and California, by various agencies of the federal government, and a generous private sector. In the last 20 years, $2 billion has been invested to take care of this lake. The partnership we developed 20 years ago has been essential to effectuate the progress of the environmental restoration of the Lake Tahoe Basin. So today's Lake Summit, as I indicated when I started this little deal a little while ago, is a celebration of progress. It is a celebration of unity. Though there's much work more to be done in the future, we can't be complacent. Our work is not finished. Who better to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the restoration of Lake Tahoe than the President of the United States? No one in America understands the value of environmental treasures of a place like Lake Tahoe. No one understands them better than Barack Obama. He has done so much with his pen because Congress simply wouldn't act. Think of just what he's done to protect our public lands and waterways. He's done more than any president in the history of our great country, protecting more than 260 million acres that were not protected before he became president. So let's reflect on his historic work on climate and clean energy, wind, geothermal, and solar. We all owe the debt, a huge debt to President, a debt of gratitude for his courage on something dear to each of us. For those of us in Nevada and the country, the permanent protection of our public lands is something we want very much, and he's going to continue that. but not the least of which of this great work he's done was the protection of 700,000 acres in Nevada in one spot. It's pristine land. It's called Basin and Range. And what is the hallmark of that unique place? It's something we call the city. A work of art that is so fabulous. And Mr. President, we appreciate very much. You did this with your pen. President Obama recognizes that climate change presents environmental threats to places like Lake Tahoe, all over the world. And because of President Obama, our country, the United States, is leading the world in reducing dangerous carbon pollution. It's been an honor to work with this good man for a decade. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce the 44th President of the United States, President Barack Obama.
This is really nice. I will be coming here more often. You know, my transportation won't be as nice, but I'll be able to spend a little more time here. First of all, I want to thank Harry Reid. And because he's a captive audience, he doesn't actually like people talking about him, but he's stuck here, and so I'm going to talk about him for a second. You know, Harry grew up in a town that didn't have much. No high school, no doctor's office. Searchlight sure didn't have much grass to mow or many trees to climb. It didn't look like this. So when Harry discovered a lush desert oasis down the road called Paiute Spring, he fell in love. And when Harry met Landra, the love of his life, he couldn't wait to take her there. But when he got to the green spring that Harry remembered, he was devastated to see that the place had been trashed. And that day, Harry became an environmentalist. And he's been working hard ever since to preserve the natural gifts of Nevada and these United States of America. So Harry's protected fish and wildlife across the state. He helped to end a century-old water war. He created Nevada's first and only national park. Right after I took office, the very first act Harry's Senate passed was one of the most important conservation efforts in a generation. We protected more than 2 million acres of wilderness and thousands of miles of trails and rivers. That was because of Harry Reid. Last summer, thanks to Harry Reid's leadership, we protected more than 700,000 acres of mountains and valleys right here in Nevada, establishing the Basin and Range National Monument. 2 decades ago, the senator from Searchlight trained a national spotlight right here on Lake Tahoe. And as he prepares to ride off into the sunset, although I don't want him getting on a horse, this 20th anniversary summit proves that the light Harry lit shines as bright as ever. Now, in a few months, I'll be riding off into that same sunset. No, it's true. It's okay. I mean, I'm going to be coming around, I told you. I just won't have Marine One. I'll be driving. But let me tell you, one of the great pleasures of being president is having strong relationships with people who do the right thing. They get criticized, they've got a tough job, but they get in this tough business because ultimately they care about this country and they care about the people they represent. And that is true of Dianne Feinstein. That is true of Barbara Boxer. That is true of the outstanding governor of California, Jerry Brown. That's true of our outstanding folks who work for the Department of Interior and work for who help look after our forests, that help look after our national parks, that help manage our water and try to conserve the wildlife and the birds and all the things that we want to pass on to the next generation. And so I'm going to miss the day-to-day interactions that I've got, and I'll miss Harry, even though he's not a sentimental guy. We were talking backstage. Anybody who's ever gotten on the phone with Harry Reid, you'll be mid-conversation, and once he's kind of finished with the whole point of the conversation, you'll still be talking, and you realize he's hung up. And he does that to the President of the United States. And it takes you like 3 or 4 of these conversations to realize he's not mad at you, but he doesn't have much patience for small talk. But Harry is tough. I believe he is going to go down as one of the best leaders that the Senate ever had. I could not have accomplished what I accomplished without him being at my side. So I want to say publicly to the people of Nevada, to the people of Lake Tahoe, to the people of America, I could not be prouder to have worked alongside the Democratic leader of the Senate, Harry Reid. Give him a big round of applause. So it's special to stand on the shores of Lake Tahoe. I have never been here. It's not like I didn't want to come. Nobody invited me. I didn't know if I had a place to stay. So now that I finally got here, I'm going to come back. And I want to come back not just because it's beautiful, not just because I love you back, not just because The Godfather 2 is maybe my favorite movie. As I was flying over the lake, I was thinking about Fredo. It's tough. But this place is spectacular because it is one of the highest, deepest, oldest, and purest lakes in the world. It's been written that the lake's waters were once so clear that when you were out on a boat, you felt like you were floating in a balloon. Unless you were Fredo. It's been written that the air here is so fine, it must be the same air that the angels breathe. So it's no wonder that for thousands of years this place has been a spiritual one. For the Washoe people, it is the center of their world. And just as this space is sacred to Native Americans, it should be sacred to all Americans. And that's why we're here, to protect this special, pristine place, to keep these waters crystal clear, to keep the air as pure as the heavens, to keep alive Tahoe's spirit and to keep faith with this truth, that the challenges of conservation and combating climate change are connected. They're linked. Now, okay. I'm sorry, I got you, okay. I got you. Thank you. That's a great banner. I'm about to talk about it though, so you're interrupting me. Now, I was going to talk about climate change and why it's so important. You know, we tend to think of climate change as if it's something that's just happening out there that we don't have control over. But the fact is that it is man-made. It's not we think it's man-made. It's not we guess it's man-made. It's not a lot of people are saying it's man-made. It's not, I'm not a scientist, so I don't know. You don't have to be a scientist. You have to read or listen to scientists to know that the overwhelming body of scientific evidence shows us that climate change is caused by human activity. And when we protect our lands, it helps us protect the climate for the future. So conservation is critical not just for one particular spot, one particular park, one particular lake. It's critical for our entire ecosystem. And conservation is more than just putting up a plaque and calling something a park. We embrace conservation because healthy and diverse lands and waters help us build resilience to climate change. We do it to free more of our communities and plants and animals and species from wildfires and droughts and displacement. We do it because when most of the 4.5 million people who come to Lake Tahoe every year are tourists, economies like this one live or die by the health of our natural resources. We do it because places like this nurture and restore the soul, and we want to make sure that's there for our kids too. You know, as a former Washoe tribe leader once said, the health of the land and the health of the people are tied together. And what happens to the land also happens to the people. So that's why we've worked so hard. Everybody on this stage, Harry's leadership, the work we've done in our administration to preserve treasures like this for future generations. And we've proven that the choice between our environment, our economy, and our health is a false one. We've got to strengthen all of them together. In the 20 years since President Clinton and Senator Reid started this summit, federal, state, and local leaders have worked together to restore wetlands and habitats, improve roads, reduce pollution, prevent wildfires. And that last point is especially important because of the severe drought that all of you know and you can see with your own eyes. A single wildfire in a dangerously flammable Lake Tahoe Basin could cause enough erosion to erase decades of progress when it comes to water quality. And the drought also endangers one of the epicenters of the world's food production in California. Now, changing climate threatens even the best conservation efforts. Keep in mind, 2014 was the warmest year on record until, you guessed it, 2015. And now 2016 is on pace to be even hotter. For 14 months in a row now, the Earth has broken global temperature records. Lake Tahoe's average temperature is rising at its fastest rate ever, and its temperature is the warmest on record. Because climate and conservation are challenges that go hand in hand, our conservation mission is more urgent than ever. Everybody who is here, including those who are very eager for me to finish so that they can listen to the killers. I've only got a few more pages. Our conservation effort is more critical, more urgent than ever. And we made this a priority from day one. We, as Harry mentioned, protected more acres of public lands and water than any administration in history. Now, last week alone, we protected land, water, and wildlife from Maine to Hawaii, including the creation of the world's largest marine protected area. And apropos of that young lady's sign, we've been working on climate change on every front. We've worked to generate more clean energy, use less dirty energy, waste less energy overall. In my first months in office, Harry helped America make the single largest investment in renewable energy in our history. Dianne Feinstein, Barbara Boxer have been at the forefront of this. Jerry Brown's been doing incredible legislative work in his state. These investments have helped drive down the cost of clean power, so it's finally cheaper than dirty power in a lot of places. It helps us multiply wind power threefold, solar power more than 30-fold. It's created tens of thousands of good jobs. It's adding to paychecks, subtracting from energy bills. It's been the smart and right thing to do. And then 1 year ago this month, we finalized a clean power plan that spurs new sources of energy and gives states the tools to limit pollution that power plants spew into the sky. As I mentioned, last week, California passed an ambitious plan to cut carbon pollution. And Jerry, I know you agree that more states need to follow California's lead. On a national level, we've enacted tough fuel economy standards for cars, which means you're going to be able to drive further on a gallon of gas. It's going to save you your pocketbook and save the environment. We followed that up with the first ever standards for commercial trucks, vans, and buses. And as a consequence, during the first half of this year, carbon pollution hit its lowest level in a quarter century. And by the way, during the same time, we've had the longest streak of job creation on record. The auto industry is booming. There is no contradiction between being smart on the environment and having a strong economy, and we got to keep it going. So this isn't just a challenge, this is an opportunity. And today in Tahoe, we're taking 3 more significant steps to boost conservation and climate action. First, we're supporting conservation projects across Nevada to restore watersheds, stop invasive species, and further reduce the risks posed by hazardous fuels and wildfires. Number 2, we're incentivizing private capital to come off the sidelines and contribute to conservation, because government can't do it alone. Number 3, in partnership with California, we're going to reverse the deterioration of the Salton Sea before it is too late, and that's going to help a lot of folks all across the West. So we're busy. And from here, I'm going to travel to my original home state of Hawaii, where the United States is proud to host the World Conservation Congress for the first time. Tomorrow I'm going to go to Midway to visit the vast marine area that we just created and to honor those who sacrificed their lives to protect our freedom. Then I head to China, with whom we've partnered as the world's 2 largest economies and 2 largest carbon emitters to set historic climate targets that are going to lead the rest of the world to a cleaner, more secure future. So just go back to that quote by the Washoe elder. What happens to the land also happens to the people. I've made it a priority in my presidency to protect the natural resource we inherited, because we shouldn't be the last to enjoy them. Just as the health of the land and the people are tied together, just as climate and conservation are tied together, we share a sacred connection with those who are going to follow us. I think about my 2 daughters. I think about Harry's 19 grandchildren. That's a lot of grandkids. The future generations who deserve clear water and clean air that will sustain their bodies and sustain their souls. Jewels like Lake Tahoe. And it's not going to happen without hard work. It sure is not going to happen if we pretend a snowball in winter means nothing's wrong. It's not going to happen if we boast about how we're going to scrap international treaties or have elected officials who are alone in the world in denying climate change, or put our energy and environmental policies in the hands of big polluters. It's not going to happen if we just pay lip service to conservation but then refuse to do what's needed. You know, when scientists first told us that our planet was changing because of human activity, it was received as a bombshell, but in a way, we shouldn't have been surprised. The most important changes are always the changes made by us. And the fact that we've been able to grow our clean energy economy proves that we have agency, we've got power. Diminishing carbon pollution proves we can do something about it. Our healing of Lake Tahoe proves it's within our power to pass on the incredible bounty of this country to a next generation. Our work isn't done, and so after I leave office and Harry leaves office and Barbara's, she's going to be right alongside us on a slightly smaller horse because she's got to get up on top of it. After we've all left office, the charge to continue to make positive change is going to be in all of our hands as citizens. I always say the most important office in a democracy is the office of citizen. Change happens because of you. Don't forget that. Thank you. God bless you. God bless the United States of America.
Thunder's rolling down this track. Well, you don't know where you're going now, but you know you won't be back. Well, darling, if you're weary, lay your head upon my chest. Yeah, we'll take what we can carry.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain in your seats while we reset and bring the killers on stage.
They offered me my last request. I asked my mortal soul be blessed by someone close to me. He came to me with trembling hands. He swore he'd never understand. I said it's just what life had planned. It's destiny. Don't waste your tears on me tonight. We were born and raised in black and white. I chose the dark, you chased the light. We were born and raised in black and white. We were born and raised in black and white.
The wind blows hard across the Texas plains, makes some people go insane, while others quietly pray for rain. Lord Almighty, feel my temperature rising. Higher, higher, it's burning through to my soul. Girl, 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 you gonna set me on fire. My brain is flaming, I don't know which way to go. Your kisses lift me higher, like a sweet song of a choir. You light my morning sky, burning love. Ooh, 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 I feel my temperature rising. Help me, I'm flaming, I must be 109. Burning, 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 and nothing can cool me. Yeah. I just might turn to smoke, but I feel fine. 'Cause your kisses lift me higher, like the sweet song of a choir. And you light my morning sky, burning love. It's coming closer, the flames are now licking my body. Won't you help me? I feel like I'm slipping away. It's hard to breathe, my chest is heaving. Lord have mercy, I'm burning a hole where I lay. Yeah. Your kisses lift me higher, like a sweet song of a choir. Light my morning sky, burning love, burning love. I'm just a hunk of burning love, just a hunk of burning love, hunk of burning love, just a hunk of burning love, a hunk of burning love, just a hunk of burning love,
Here I go again. I hear those trumpets blow again. All aglow again. Taking a chance on love. Here I slide again. About to take that ride again. Starry-eyed again. Taking a chance on love. I thought that cars were a frame-up I never would try. Now I'm taking that game up, and the ace of hearts is high. Things are mending now. I see a rainbow blending now. We'll have a happy ending now. Taking a chance on love. Here I slip again, about to take that trip again. I got that grip again, taking a chance on love. Now I prove again that I can make life move again. I'm in the groove again, taking a chance on love. I walk around with a horseshoe, in clover I lie, and Brother Rabbit, of course you better kiss your foot goodbye. On that ball again, I'm riding for a fall again. I'm gonna give my all again, taking a chance on love. It's not unusual to be loved by anyone. It's not unusual to have fun with anyone. But when I see you hanging about with anyone, it's not unusual to see me cry. I wanna die. It's not unusual to go out at any time. But when I see you out and about, it's such a crime. If you should ever wanna be loved by anyone, it's not unusual, it happens every day. No matter what you say, you'll find it happens all the time. Love will never do what you want to. Why can't this crazy love be more? It's not unusual to be mad with anyone. It's not unusual to be sad with anyone. But if I ever find that you've changed at any time, it's not unusual to find that I'm in love with you. Whoa, 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 whoa.
What will I do when you're gone? Who's gonna tell me the truth? Who's gonna finish the stories I start the way you always do? When somebody knocks at the door, someone new walks in, I will smile and shake their hand, but you can't make old friends. Can't make old friends. Can't make old friends. It was me and you since way back when, but you can't make old friends.
How will I sing when you're gone? 'Cause it won't sound the same.
We hope you enjoy your stay, and it's good to have you with us, even if it's just for the day. We hope you enjoy your stay. Outside the sun is shining, it seems like heaven ain't far away. And it's good to have you with us, even if it's just